What's up, guys? I'm gonna do this long overdue video. Um, Basically, you see my bike. Sorry for my small confined space. I have everything in here, all my tools. Until we get a bigger garage, it's better than a closet or the kitchen. But this is my bike, and I'm doing a maintenance video. Now, all my bike just went through a vigorous maintenance, routine maintenance after every ride. I've already told you this in my previous videos. So I'm just going to tell you the things that I do every time. Every time after a ride. Sorry for the hesitation. I'm trying to explain this thoroughly as possible. And you guys can take these tricks and tips and put them to good use. So first thing I do is I obviously maintenance my cranks and my back wheel, and look over everything. There's no substitution for putting your hands everywhere and just making sure everything is lining up. There's no substitution for that. I'm sorry. If you do it quick, you're going to get shitty results, and that's just the fact. So the first thing I do is I maintenance my cranks. After I wash my bike, I spray my bike down top to bottom. That's a given. You should do that every time, because especially if you live in a sandy or rocky place, because there's stuff that just gets in it. And I trail rode in the woods today, which is a little bit different than other parts of the country because we have a very leafy, wet oak environment, and oak trees are known to drop leaves that stick around for a long time. They don't decompose as quick as other trees because they're the last ones to lose their leaves every year, and they're all huge leaves, and there's by the thousands per tree. So they get on the ground and they get wet and they get rained on and they start to break down a little bit, and then when you're riding, your oil on everything sucks it up into your drivetrain. And today, because it's fall, I was getting them jammed in between my tire and my chainstay, and it was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And then I look down, there's just a leaf caught in there, and the tires are really sticky, so it just sounds like you put a can in there like you used to when you were a kid in the front fork, make it sound like a motorcycle. So what I do to do that is, after I clean it and I visually inspect everything, I get me this. It's a syringe for giving adults or children medicine. Mine says infants Tylenol. We get these every time we buy medicine for our kids. You can go buy Tylenol with a needle like this, or see if they just have one laying around. I'm not sure on if you can just buy them at Walmart or something just by themselves, but anything that's like this. And I take me a disposable container. I'm using this bowl right now. I've been using this every time I make this thing, and I put my oil in there and I suck it up in the needle, and then I slowly inject it over the drivetrain, and I crank it as I'm doing it, and then once I get the chain nice and oiled, I'll start doing the gears in the front and the back. So that's trick number one. Now, what do I use for oil? I'm a tree trimmer by trade. I work around chainsaws, so I use this, which is bar oil. It is designed to keep chains and bars lubricated at very, very high RPMs and stick until the last possible second. So if you put one small coat of this on there, it will be on there all day for weeks and weeks and weeks. Matter of fact, I guarantee it. It's something I even used pretty much all my life on my other bikes too. I didn't think of this needle process until recently, but my my whole family's been in tree trimming all their life, so we always had bar oil in the garage, and I always used it. And it's literally some of the best stuff I've used to keep your drivetrain maintenance, because other stuff wears off or it's so thick it doesn't spread. And this is the perfect balance. And then actually, bar oil, you can get it in many different weights. The winter stuff is always thinner. The summer stuff is always thinner. So keep that in mind. And you can get any brand. I use Stihl because it's just something that we've always done. You know, my grandpa and my dad and my my uncles always use Stihl. Anyways, the next thing I do is, I've already showed you this, but I buy this. It's just grease for a grease gun. You can buy it in the little with the flatter containers, and that's honestly probably the best, but I keep this around for my grease guns. And what I do is, any part that I take off and I put back on, like your pedals, for instance, when you take them off, unthread them, and you clean around here and stuff, just dip the threads in there, screw it in, and they're lubricated. And every bike's different, obviously, if you're doing a full suspension, but anytime you take out like a bushing or something, or it's a direct bolt to frame, you should always but use some grease to keep them from seizing up. You don't want any seized bolts in your frame, because that could cause long-term damage, and it could never be right again. And buying a new frame is the worst thing you would have to do if you're doing this full-time as a hobby or a sport. So after I do those few tricks, the next thing I do, which I think is the best thing as far as cleaning your tires, is using alcohol. And the reason I do this, I put a little on the rag and I spin the wheel and I let the sidewall get cleaned off, because after you maintenance your bike and you properly lube it, there's going to be oil that's dripping down from various places. So after I wipe the frame off with alcohol and use a towel, just any towel, or it doesn't have to be perfect, it's going to get dirty next ride, but I like my bike to look brand new every time I hit the trail. I'm not trying to win a fashion statement. I'm just saying I don't want people to get the impression that I'm destroying a $2,200 bike and not maintaining it. When they see my bike, they know that I'm a serious rider because I take care of my stuff, and they know that I'm out there to ride hard, because any bike that's well maintained, but they can tell that's been on the trail before, is a rider that is serious. And it's nice to be taken serious in every way on the trail, because for one, people will, give you the right of way over them, which is very nice, because you have a bunch of inexperienced riders and you're trying to go fast, and they know you're on the trail, and maybe you're starting a little bit later than they did because you're more particular about making sure your bike's good to go for your overcheck. Whenever they see you coming, they're going to move over right away, even if it's them pedaling a little more because they had to slow down. And that doesn't mean you have to be a jerk. I'm just saying that's one benefits of it. And then after I clean my wheels with alcohol, the sidewalls, to make sure that I'm getting all the dirt and all the oil off. Another reason why you do this, and it sounds silly, but it also gives you a better bead every time. If you take a little air out of your tires and do it, it makes sure that like no dust or anything's going to travel into the bead. Let's face it, good tires are expensive, and when a tire is $50 plus, which is half of your average 15 to 16 inch car tire, so a set of tires of this caliber, I don't care what brand you go, if it has these ratings on them, I won't go into brand details because that's preference and what you can afford, honestly. But so a set of tires for this bike would be like $80. If I put them on myself and didn't have a shop put them on. So that's one thing to consider, is take care of your tires. I mean, if they're toast and they need to be replaced, replace them. But if you can get more and more life out of them every time you ride, that's going to be the best thing. This sport is a non-stop spending money thing, and that's just how it is. It's just like golf or any other sport you take up. Boating, which that's another thing that I do, and let me tell you, boating is it's just about as expensive as this sport, because buying a handlebar grips for this bike with full lock-ons, that's $35 right there. And you add up all these $35, $25, $10, they seem all pointless at one time, like at one, separate times, but at all together you add it up. How much money are you spending at the end of the year in maintenance on your bike? And if you have any shop fees, like you take your bike into a professional and check for stuff that they might have tricks and tips on, this stuff becomes expensive. Like a shop fee can range anywhere from $50 to $100 just for a basic tune-up, and that usually a basic tune-up they'll only replace parts that is included in that, and one of those things are cables and cable guides. They're not going to replace a hydraulic brake hose, and those can range all the way up to $30 to $40 a piece, and for good ones, because you got to make sure that you're not getting one that doesn't have a backing behind it, which we talked about in one of my other videos. Even though you're not going to use a warranty, make sure they're willing to stand behind their product and say they will give you a warranty. I think that's about it. I mean, take care of your bike, and take care of it and make it your own. If making it your own is making it flashy and it still performs good, go for it. If making it look rustic and rough but taking care of it is your thing, then do it. But just keep in mind, anything that you can do to protect your investment is always a good choice, regardless of what it is. And until next time, guys, I'm sorry for the lengthy video. This one is the longest I've ever done, but I felt like it was necessary. I'll see you next time. Thank you.